Hello, my name is Hannah Pierce, and every night I become someone my family would disown. You ever feel your skin split in two, like you live inside one body, but your soul clocks in for two different shifts? That's me, Hannah, during the day, Nova at night. Two names, two wardrobes, two lives, stitched together with lies so thin I can feel them tearing whenever someone looks at me too long. In the daylight, I'm everything my mother ever prayed I'd be. Modest dresses, downcast eyes, Bible verses tucked into the corners of my mind like folded napkins. I say, "Yes, ma'am," smile at the neighbors, and bake casseroles for church picnics. I laugh when the pastor jokes about city girls and their lost morals, and I pretend the sound doesn't taste like guilt in my mouth. But when the sun drops behind the Savannah skyline, the world flips. I change in the back of my car, pull off the plain cotton, and slip into sequins that cling like sin. I draw black eyeliner sharp enough to cut through conscience, strap heels that make me taller, bolder, freer. I drive past the edge of town, down into the old shipyard district where nobody knows my name. Down there, I'm Nova, and Nova dances. Not the kind of dancing you tell your family about, the kind that happens under flickering lights and between too many secrets. It's not stripping, not exactly, but it's close enough that if my father ever found out, he'd load his old revolver before I could explain. The first time I danced, I thought I'd pass out. My hands were shaking so bad, I could barely tie the mask. It's silver, cracked a little down the cheek like me. The crowd was drunk, the music too loud, and I felt everyone's eyes crawling over my skin. But when I moved, something inside me unlocked. I wasn't Hannah anymore. I wasn't anyone's daughter, anyone's disappointment. I was a body made of rhythm and rebellion, and God help me, I liked it. Every night after that, I told myself it was just until I saved enough money to move out, just until I could breathe. But money has a way of making time stretch. One more night turned into one more week, one more month, and the mask stopped feeling like a disguise. It started feeling like my real face. No one at the bar knows who I am. They only know Nova, the girl who never talks about her past, who leaves before the sun comes up. I keep my head down, cash out early, and drive home in silence, wiping glitter off my hands before touching the steering wheel. I always park 3 blocks away from the house. My mother's a light sleeper. I can't risk her seeing headlights at 3 a.m. Every night, I climb through my bedroom window like a teenager sneaking out. The floor creaks in the same spot every time. I've learned how to step over it in the dark. Then morning comes, and the act begins again. Coffee, scripture, chores, smile. My mother talks about grace. My father reads the news and complains about girls with no shame on the internet, and I sit there, nodding, pretending my heart isn't pounding, pretending I don't feel the weight of last night's bass still vibrating under my ribs. It's a miracle how easy lying becomes once you realize truth doesn't feed you. But lately, things have been different. Last week, after my shift, I noticed a black sedan parked across the street, windows tinted, engine running. When I pulled out, it followed me for 3 turns before disappearing into the fog. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it wasn't. Then 2 nights ago, someone left a white rose on my windshield. No note, just the flower fresh, perfect, impossible to miss. No one at the bar gives flowers. Not to me, not to anyone. And tonight, I found a folded piece of paper slipped under my door at home. No name. Just 5 words, written in neat, steady handwriting. I know what you do. I stared at it until my hands went numb, because there's no way anyone from the bar could find my address. No way anyone from church could know where I go after dark, unless the 2 worlds are starting to bleed together. I didn't sleep. Every creak of the house sounded like footsteps. Every shadow looked like someone watching. I told myself it was paranoia, but deep down, I know secrets have expiration dates, and mine is past due. Tomorrow's Sunday. I'll sit in the pew beside my mother. I'll sing hymns with a voice that sounds steady. I'll smile when Pastor Cole shakes my hand. And I'll pray not for forgiveness, but for time, because I can feel it, the walls closing in, the threads fraying. Someone knows who I am, and sooner or later, they're going to unmask me one way or another. Someone knows who I am, and sooner or later, they're going to unmask me one way or another. I told myself that when morning came, the fear would fade like a bad dream. It didn't. It just changed shape. At breakfast, my mother was humming while frying eggs, sunlight pouring through the kitchen window like judgment. My father sat at the table reading the newspaper, glasses perched low, his mouth curling into a frown. "There's some video going around," he said, tapping the paper. "Disgraceful. A masked girl dancing like she's got no shame. Kids these days." The fork froze halfway to my mouth. I felt the world tilt. He kept talking something about decency, about how people hide behind masks to sin. His voice was casual, but every word sliced deeper. My heart was slamming against my ribs so loud I thought they'd hear it. I forced a laugh. "Probably just some wannabe influencer," I said. He nodded, muttered something about the internet ruining morals. But I couldn't breathe, because I knew exactly which video he was talking about. I drove to work like a ghost. My phone buzzed the entire ride, texts, DMs, notifications piling up faster than I could clear them. When I finally stopped at a red light, I made the mistake of opening one. 5.3 million views. A thumbnail. Silver mask, cracked cheek, sequined shadow. Title: The Masked Dancer Savannah's Secret Star. My stomach turned. The clip was from last Thursday, the night with the black sedan. Someone had recorded me from the mezzanine. Perfect angle, perfect lighting. I hadn't seen a phone, but there it was. Proof of everything I'd tried to bury. The comments were a blur. Who is she? That's not choreography. That's confession. Find her. Looks like Hannah Pierce from the library. The last one hit me like a punch. My name half joke, half accusation buried under hundreds of replies. My hands were shaking too hard to type, too hard to think. I deleted the app, turned off my phone, but the video had already grown teeth. By noon, it was everywhere. At the library, whispers followed me down the aisles. People smiled too politely. The janitor, Mr. Lewis, asked if I was that dancer online. I laughed, too loud, too fast. He smiled like he didn't believe me. Every reflection glass door, window pane, monitor felt like a camera lens. Every shadow, a watcher. I left early, told my boss I was sick. On the drive home, the same black sedan appeared again in the rearview mirror. I made 3 unnecessary turns, then 2 full loops around a block before pulling into a gas station. When I stepped out, the car was gone. That night, I didn't go to the bar, didn't even open the closet where the mask hung. But the messages didn't stop. Someone sent me screenshots from anonymous accounts, shots of my street, my house, my bedroom window, each one time-stamped within minutes of me being there. The last message said, "You dance for everyone but me." I didn't tell my parents. How could I? My father would see it as proof of sin. My mother would pray harder. Neither would believe that the mask had been the only thing keeping me safe until now. For 3 nights I stayed home. But fear is expensive. The bar called on the 4th said the crowd was bigger than ever since Nova went viral, and that if I didn't show, they'd replace me. So I went, not for fame, not for money, for control. Because if the internet was going to devour me, I wanted to face it on my own terms. When I stepped on stage, the crowd roared. Flashlights blinked like gunfire. The DJ looped my viral song. I tied the mask tight, so tight it pressed bruises into my skin. For a few minutes, I disappeared again. The music drowned the panic. The lights melted faces into blur. I could almost pretend none of it was real until I saw him. Back wall, still, watching, phone raised. The same silhouette from the sedan. The same calm, patient posture. like a hunter who already knows the kill is inevitable. My body kept moving, trained reflexes masking the terror. I finished the set, walked off stage, and slipped through the back hallway. My manager called after me, something about interviews and offers, but I was already running. The alley smelled of rain and cigarettes. I reached my car, breath fogging the glass as I locked the doors. Then I saw it, on the windshield, another white rose, fresh again. Same folded note tucked beneath it. This time, 6 words. You look better without the mask. I drove home on autopilot, headlights carving through fog like knives. Every parked car looked suspicious. Every streetlight felt like a spotlight. When I reached the driveway, I turned the engine off and sat there for a long time, gripping the steering wheel so tight my hands went numb. Then I saw the porch light flick on. My father's silhouette filled the doorway, a dark figure framed in gold. He was holding something in his hand, a piece of paper. I stepped out slowly. "Dad?" He didn't answer. He just held up the paper. It was a printed screenshot, my masked face, frozen mid-dance, headline beneath it. Local mystery performer sparks citywide obsession. His voice was quiet, almost kind. "Hannah, you wouldn't happen to know anything about this, would you?" For a second, the night went silent. Even the crickets stopped. And that's when I realized the stalker wasn't the only one closing in. My father had started looking too. The mask, the stage, the lie, everything I built to survive was becoming my own noose. And I could already feel it tightening. I didn't sleep that night. After my father handed me the screenshot, he didn't press further, just watched me, waiting for a confession that never came. When I mumbled something about a coincidence, he looked through me, not at me, and went back inside. The porch light clicked off. I sat on the steps until dawn, watching the horizon bruise into pink. My hands smelled like cold metal from gripping the railing. My phone kept buzzing inside my pocket. I didn't want to look, but fear has gravity. It pulls your eyes exactly where you shouldn't go. The first message came at 4:12 a.m. Unknown number. Pretty night for confession, isn't it? I stared at it, pulse spiking. Then another. You looked scared when Daddy showed you the picture. My breath caught. Whoever this was, they weren't guessing. They'd been there. A third message. Meet me tonight, same place, midnight, or I tell him everything. I typed. Who are you? But the message bounced, number disconnected. For hours I paced my room, every instinct telling me to run, every ounce of logic whispering that running would make me look guilty. By noon I'd convinced myself it was some cruel prank. By sunset, I knew it wasn't. At 11:45 p.m., I drove. The shipyard district looked emptier than usual, rain slicking the pavement, streetlights humming like nervous thoughts. The bar was closed, neon sign dark. I parked where the black sedan had been before and waited. Midnight came. Then 1 minute passed. 2. I almost turned the key when someone knocked on my window, soft, deliberate. A man stood there, hoodie up, rain dripping from the brim. I couldn't see his face. He motioned for me to roll it down. I cracked it, just an inch. Who are you? I asked. He smiled, small, wrong. You dance beautifully, Hannah. My throat closed. How do you? I don't like secrets, he said, and I don't like masks, but I do like you. I reached for my phone, but he lifted my own video playing on the screen. Then another clip followed me walking into my house, through my bedroom window, grainy, close, filmed from the yard. You've been following me? He tilted his head. Following? No, protecting. The internet is full of bad people. Men who want to find you, touch you, hurt you. I make sure they don't. By filming me? He shrugged, rain running off his sleeves. By making sure I'm the only one who can. Something in his tone, calm, polite, almost tender, terrified me more than a threat ever could. What do you want? He leaned closer to the gap in the window, voice low. A private show, just for me. No mask this time. I shook my head. Leave me alone. He smiled wider. Or I send the footage to your father, to the church, to everyone who thinks you're his perfect little girl. Then he stepped back, dropped something onto my windshield, a flash drive, and disappeared into the rain. I sat there, frozen, until the car's interior fogged up. The flash drive gleamed under the wipers like a cursed coin. I didn't want to touch it, but curiosity and dread are twins. I plugged it into my laptop when I got home. 2 folders. One labeled Nova. The other, Hannah. The first held every performance I'd ever done at the bar, filmed from different angles, different nights. He'd been watching me for months. The second folder was worse. Footage of me grocery shopping, leaving church, brushing my hair in my room. The realization hit like ice water. He wasn't just nearby. He was inside my world. I called the bar manager, told him everything, voice shaking. He didn't believe me, said I was lucky to have fans, that mystery sells. Then my phone buzzed again. A video message. No number. I played it. It was me from just now, sitting at my desk, watching the flash drive. The angle was from outside my bedroom window. A whisper through the speaker. Don't tell anyone else. I screamed, ran to the window, yanked it open. Nothing but night. The yard looked empty, but the air felt occupied. I didn't go to the police. How could I? Masked bar dancer stalked by admirer would be front page gossip in this town. My father would find out before the ink dried. So I locked every door, shoved a dresser against the window, and stayed awake till morning. The next day, my father left for work early. My mother kept asking if I was sick. I said I was fine, but my reflection in the bathroom mirror looked like someone unraveling. By evening, I decided to fight back. I returned to the bar, demanded the security tapes. The owner grumbled, but handed them over. I spent hours scanning footage, frame by frame, until I saw him hoodie. Same posture, always in the corner, never ordering a drink. The timestamp on the last clip was from 2 nights before 12:46 a.m. He leaves through the back exit, and someone else follows him. A chill crawled up my spine. The second figure, smaller, lighter step, was my father. I replayed it 3 times, not believing. My father had followed the stalker. Or maybe the stalker had led him. Either way, they knew each other. That night, I received one final message. A photo of the 2 of us, my father and me, sitting at Sunday breakfast, taken from outside the kitchen window. Caption, he'll understand soon. I dropped the phone. For the first time, I realized the danger wasn't just about exposure. It was about control. Someone was orchestrating both my lives, pulling strings in daylight and darkness, turning confession into spectacle. I don't know who he really is yet, but he knows me, the sinner and the saint, the mask and the skin beneath. And now, he's getting closer. I used to think the worst part of lying was getting caught. It's not. The worst part is living in the moment before the stretch of silence, when you can feel the truth rising through the floorboards, searching for a way out. For 3 days, my father barely spoke to me. No shouting, no accusations, just silence. He'd look at me like someone studying a puzzle with one piece missing, as if he stared long enough, the picture would confess itself. My mother filled the quiet with scripture. God sees all, she'd say, as though that was supposed to comfort me, but her voice trembled when she said it, like she wasn't sure who he was seeing anymore, me, or the shadow living inside my skin. I tried to hold on to normal. I went to work. I smiled. I pretended the mask still existed somewhere safe and separate, but I could feel both worlds bleeding into each other, glitter in my laundry, perfume in my church clothes, the scent of cheap smoke following me like a ghost. Then came Sunday. The church felt colder that morning. The pews seemed farther apart. Pastor Cole was talking about temptation, about how sin wears disguises, how evil can dance in plain sight. People laughed. I didn't. My father didn't either. His hands were folded too tight, knuckles white against the wood. When service ended, He asked me to come with him just a short drive, he said. His tone was even. Too even. We drove in silence through the back roads, past the old rail yard, past the sign for the shipyard district, the place where Nova lived. I gripped the seatbelt like a lifeline. Finally, he parked beside the pier. The same pier where the black sedan used to wait. Hannah, he said quietly, do you know this place? I shook my head, throat dry. He looked out over the water, jaw tight. I've been following someone, a man. He's been hanging around our street, our house. I think he's been watching you. My pulse thudded. He didn't know how right he was. He reached into his coat and pulled out something small, a flash drive. He mailed this to me. My stomach turned to stone. He continued. Said if I wanted to understand who my daughter really is, I should watch it. He paused. I haven't yet, because I wanted to hear it from you first. Every word scraped against the inside of my skull. He had the proof, the dancing, the mask, the nights, everything. I could have confessed. I wanted to. But fear is a fluent liar. I don't know what's on it, I whispered. Maybe he's trying to scare us. My father's eyes searched mine, the kind of stare that feels like it can read blood. Then tell me, Hannah, why would someone want to scare you? I opened my mouth, but before I could answer, his phone buzzed. He frowned, checked the screen, then went still. A text. No name attached. Just one line. Check your rearview mirror. We both turned. The black sedan was parked at the end of the pier, windows dark, engine humming. My father's instincts kicked in. He started toward it, hand already at the back of his waistband where his old off-duty pistol used to rest. Stay here, he ordered. But I couldn't. I ran after him. The car doors opened, not fast, not threatening, just deliberate. The same man stepped out, hoodie up, face shadowed. Mr. Pierce, he called out calmly. We should talk. My father froze. You've been following my daughter. The man smiled. Protecting her. From the world. From you. Don't. My father snapped, raising his hand. Not another word, but the man did. She's not who you think she is. Something cracked inside me then. The two halves of my life finally collided in one sharp, blinding moment. Dad, please, I said, stepping between them. Let's just go. But the man's voice dropped lower, darker. Tell him, Hannah. Tell him about the mask. My father turned toward me. Hannah, what mask? The wind off the water was freezing, but sweat rolled down my spine. The night of secrets was over. This was the morning after. I dance, I whispered. At a club. I wear a mask, so no one knows. I didn't mean for it to go viral. I didn't mean for any of this. The man cut in, voice almost tender. She's magnificent when she moves. You should be proud. My father lunged. The next few seconds blurred shouting. The sound of gravel under boots. A splash as something hit the water. I ran forward, screaming. But by the time I reached the pier's edge, the sedan door slammed and the car peeled off into the fog. My father stood there, chest heaving, rain dripping down his face. He didn't look at me. Get in the car, he said quietly. We drove home in silence. He didn't speak the entire night. When we pulled into the driveway, he just said, Go inside, lock the doors. Then he left again. I don't know where he went. The next morning, his truck was still gone. His phone went straight to voicemail. By evening, the police came knocking. Someone had reported a fight at the pier and found tire marks leading toward the old shipyard, ending abruptly at the river's edge. No car, no body, just a single silver mask floating in the reeds. Mine. I hadn't worn it that night, which meant he'd taken it, and now it was back delivered like a message. I told the officers I didn't know anything. They left a card, said to call if my father returned, but deep down I knew he wasn't coming home until he found the man who broke his daughter in half, and I wasn't sure which one of them would survive it. I don't remember falling asleep. I just remember waking to the sound of my own voice. It was playing from my laptop, my confession at the pier, recorded somehow, my words looping back at me. I dance. I wear a mask so no one knows. My hands trembled as I reached for the keyboard, but the video kept playing and then changed. Now it wasn't me talking. It was him, the stalker. He sat in a dark room, hood down this time. His face was ordinary, the kind of face you pass on the street and never remember. That was the worst part. Evil, when it's quiet, looks so much like everyone else. He smiled into the camera. Midnight. One last dance, Hannah. This time, no mask. Everyone deserves to see the real you. Then the screen went black. Underneath the video window was a live stream link scheduled for 12 a.m. Title: The Unmasking. My pulse hammered. He was going to broadcast it. Me, him, everything. Maybe the footage from my room, maybe worse. The internet would eat it alive. My father would see it. The whole town. For a long time, I just sat there staring at the clock. It was 11:23. I could have run. I could have smashed the laptop, thrown it in the river, pretended none of this ever existed. But then I thought about all the nights I danced just to feel real, and how every secret had chained me tighter. If he was going to unmask me, I'd do it myself. So I drove. The bar was empty now, long closed since the scandal. Dust where the lights used to hum, beer bottles like ghosts on the counter. But the stage was still there, small, scarred, waiting. I brought the silver mask with me, cracked, dirty from the river reeds. I set it on the floor. At 11:59, the laptop on stage flickered to life, his feed already connected. I saw his face fill the screen again, calm as ever. Behind him, a wall of monitors, one of them showing me, standing right there under the stage light. "Hello, Hannah," he said. His voice filled the speakers. "I knew you'd come." I swallowed hard. "Where are you?" "Closer than you think." Something in his tone froze me. I glanced around, but the room was empty, except for shadows. Then I realized he didn't need to be here. He already was. Cameras. Hidden ones. "You wanted a show," I said. "Fine. Here it is." I stepped into the spotlight. No music this time. Just silence thick, humming with electricity and fear. My hands shook as I started to move. Every step was an argument with myself. Every motion peeled another lie from my skin. I danced without the mask, slow, deliberate, not for the crowd, not for the camera, but for the first time, for me. And somewhere through the speakers, I heard his breathing change. It hit me then. This wasn't about love or control or even power. It was about ownership. The idea that he'd found something pure and wanted to cage it. So I gave him something he couldn't own. Truth. I walked right up to the camera lens, eyes steady. "You don't get to decide who I am," I whispered. "Not anymore." Then I lifted the mask and smashed it against the floor. The sound cracked through the empty room like thunder. The screen flickered once, twice, then his voice came back. But this time, he wasn't calm. "You shouldn't have done that." The feed stuttered, glitched. For a second, his image distorted, and behind him, on one of the smaller monitors, I saw something that made my blood go cold. My father, sitting in a chair, head down, unconscious or worse. The room behind him looked like the pier storage unit. The same corrugated walls, the same flickering bulb. My breath caught. "What did you do?" He smiled. "Don't worry, he's alive, but he's been watching too. You see, Hannah, everyone wants the truth. They just lie about why." The live stream timer hit 12. Viewers poured in, numbers climbing fast. Comments flashing across the screen. "Is this real? Who's the girl? She's the masked dancer. Where's her dad?" I felt sick. He'd turned my life into performance again. And then, through the static, another voice cut in rough, hoarse, but alive. "My father." "Hannah," he said. "Don't give him what he wants." I looked straight into the lens. "You already took everything. What's left to give? The stalker laughed softly. Your ending. But something inside me hardened. Maybe he expected me to beg, or cry, or crumble. Instead, I reached for the power cord. You wanted a show? I said again, my voice steady this time. This one's over. And I pulled the plug. The screen went black. Silence. Real, heavy silence. For the first time in months, there was no music, no audience, no mask. Just me and the sound of my own breathing. Later, I called the police. I told them everything about the stalker, the videos, the pier. When they found my father, he was barely conscious, but alive. The man was gone, the storage unit empty. Only the smell of rain and metal left behind. The detectives asked why I'd kept the secret so long. I said I was scared. That was true. But there was another truth I didn't tell them that, for a while, the mask was the only place I ever felt free. Now it's gone. Sometimes, when I close my eyes, I still hear the faint echo of the crowd, the rhythm that used to pulse through me. But I don't dance anymore, not because I'm afraid, because I don't need to hide to feel alive. The world knows my face now, and that, somehow, is its own kind of freedom. It's been 6 months. The lights at the bar are gone now. The whole building got condemned after the investigation. Sometimes I drive past it anyway, just to see what silence looks like where chaos used to live. Hello again. My name is Hannah Cole, and I'm learning how to breathe in daylight. The news cycle moved on fast. They always do. The masked dancer unmasked. For a few weeks, my face was everywhere. I watched strangers debate whether I was brave or broken, a survivor or a scandal. They used my name like it was theirs to rewrite. Then the next headline came, and I vanished from the feed. I got a job at a library. It's quiet there. People whisper instead of stare. Sometimes I catch my reflection in the glass doors and don't recognize her. This woman who walks without a mask, who doesn't flinch when the lights flicker. My father's getting better. He doesn't talk much about that night, but he sits in the back row during the community dance recitals now. He never says it, but I know he comes for me, and maybe for forgiveness, the kind we both needed. There's something strange about starting over when you've already lost everything once. Freedom feels heavier than fear sometimes. You don't know where to put it. Last week, I got an anonymous envelope. No return address. Inside was a single Polaroid. The stage, the same one from the bar, empty. Only one thing in the center, my broken mask, taped back together. No note, no signature, just that. I stared at it for a long time. Then I burned it. You'd think that would bring peace. But the truth is, peace isn't something that arrives. It's something you decide to keep, even when the shadows stay just beyond the light. So I keep dancing, not for crowds, not for fame, not for him. Sometimes in my kitchen, barefoot, when no one's watching, and sometimes in my head, to music only I can hear, because no one owns me anymore. Not the mask, not the fear, not the story, just me, and that's enough.